Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast, a.k.a. Where the Boys Are. I'm Charles.
Jason.
Eric.
I'm Derek.
Look, we're all coming back from a holiday, and we don't have the full staff here, so...
It's a way to come out with an apology.
Yeah, really.
Jeez.
That's a ringing endorsement,
I
Chuck.
just want to explain why there's so many dudes on this podcast right now. That's all. Anyway, let's get into it. Speaking of women, Kim Kardashian. I don't think Kanye West remembers who she is. He's over her. Completely over her. No, of course he's not. But he has been with Julia Fox for now, I believe, 4 straight nights. And that includes a flight from Miami to New York, where they had a date on Tuesday night. They went to dinner and a play, because that's what you do when you're in New York. Actually, they did the play and then they did dinner. This follows a weekend in Miami where the first night we saw them was on New Year's Day, on Saturday. Sunday, they hung out with Future. Monday night, they went on a double date with Nori and his wife. And then he gets on a plane and they fly to New York and they go to this play and they have dinner. So
did they take in like a light play, like Midsummer Night's Dream or Much Ado About Nothing?
No,
Something nice for a date?
I think Julia Fox, who, by the way, if you don't know who Julia Fox is, she's an actress, most famous, I guess, for her role in Uncut Gems. But yeah, I think she got a heavy dose of Kanye once they got to New York City, because the play they went to see is called A Slave Play.
He is putting her through the
That sounds like
ringer.
a choice to see that.
Yeah. Yes, he made a choice to take her to see Slave Play, which I understand it's a very acclaimed production. I think it got 12 Tony nominations. I only know this because my sister and brother-in-law went to go see it. And when I was writing the post, I had to call them like, tell me what the play's about. And they're like, that's what he took her to go see? On your 3rd date? I guess it was their 4th date at that point. So for the 4th date, the play is a very intense production about race, about gender, about the power dynamics in relationships, in particular in interracial relationships, which Kanye and Julia Fox are in. So that's what you get.
Kanye's entire dating record, right? I mean, he was with Kim Kardashian before
Amber
that.
Rose.
Amber Rose is
Amber
a
Rose
biracial
is-
woman.
But
She's a biracial
Is
woman.
it an
That's one
interracial
time
relationship when you're in a bite?
We don't have to. We don't have to.
I don't know.
this-
We're going to parse
no.
that
We don't
out.
have to parse it out, but
point is-
it's something that he
Just
obviously has
the
long
point is,
experience
if you're
with.
Julia Fox and your 4th date with Kanye, you're sitting through this play and you're going, do I want to go through all this? And the answer is yes.
It feels like a test,
Because-
right? To take a girl to that kind of play on your 3rd or 4th date to see if you can hang with me in my world.
It's going to spark good conversation.
Yeah.
You do date Kanye on Kanye's terms, and this is certainly Kanye's terms. You go to heady plays and you have heady conversation about big topics, and so this seems right in line with, if you want to date Kanye, you get the package, which seems to be some of what Kim objected to, right? It was the constancy of the Kanye message throughout an entire 15-year relationship, and
It's the Kanye show.
it's the Kanye show, right?
Right.
Exactly.
So, I mean, for 4 straight days, I don't want to say he's paraded her around, but look, he's introduced her to his very good friends, introduced her to Future, which some might say is risky.
I've seen some documents about meeting Future.
Introduced her to Noriega and his wife. We know that he's really tight with Nori. So, like,
Well, Kim and Pete have been so public. He's got to be just as public.
and maybe that's what it is. That it feels like he's got to be really public. And then flies her to New York.
This is it, though. You had said at the top that he is moving on from Kim. I forgot what you said exactly, but it seems to me exactly the opposite. This is all in
You think
response to Kim.
so? This is a showmance, not a romance.
I've never heard the term, but I like it. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
This is to demonstrate to his wife, either his current wife, soon to be ex-wife, that either he has moved on or that he can move on at his election.
I can do
Or
it
he's
too.
trying to make her jealous, like old school
Fair
like
enough.
sitcom.
Right. Yeah,
I agree
exactly.
completely. And it's transparent, too, right? He's doing it in such an obvious fashion by doing 4 dates, going to restaurants like Carbone, which are circled by paparazzi. This is the type of place, right, that you go to flaunt.
Yeah.
Whereas what Kim is doing, we're saying it's public, but it's a little bit different. She had like intimate evening with Flavor Flav, when pajama party. These are like different
I'm
types
glad
of
you said that, because I was just about to say, why are we calling out Kanye for a showmance, but Kim, everyone is like, oh no, her and Pete are definitely together.
Oh
And
no,
they-
that's a full
But they
showmance
did go to a
thing,
movie theater in Staten Island.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't.
That's true. She's
with
putting
the-
in time
I mean,
in
she's
Staten
gonna
Island.
she's gonna get attention wherever she goes, but it
Yeah,
wasn't the
that's
most
true.
obvious place to go for attention.
By the way, someone pointed out right before we started this, I saw an email that Julia Fox has been wearing Balenciaga the last couple nights they've been out.
Oh, so he's dressing her.
So
like
now
him.
he's dressing her.
Of course he is. Or she's gonna
And-
say no.
You don't think Julia Fox was able to afford Balenciaga on her own?
I think she can afford it, but I think she's trying to look the
I was
part of
kidding.
Kanye.
I was kidding. She cannot afford Balenciaga.
oh,
Really?
wait.
Julia
Well, I
Fox
don't know.
is on the up, man. Uncut Gems was a huge.
No, she
hit.
is on the up. I
Yeah.
just have no idea what Balenciaga costs. So
I think you
can't-
can
I'm
lease
not gonna-
those
More
outfits,
than Julia Fox can afford.
Where's Charlie Neff when we need
I
him?
know half the
Okay.
people here can't pronounce it, so it's
Right.
Hey, I said it several times,
Yeah.
Balenciaga. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see where this relationship goes, but we'll see if it's showmance or romance. I'm going to lean towards showmance at this point because he's pouring it on pretty heavy.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move to Vegas Fight Night with Jason Derulo, who that's the name you better use because if you call him Usher, he is going to put hands on you. As two guys found out as they were walking through the Aria Hotel. And they passed Jason Derulo on an escalator, and check out what happened.
Hey, yo, why you slap him, dog? Hey, yo, why you slap him? Hey, Usher, bitch. Why you slap him? Why you slap him? Why you slap him? Why you slap him? Hey, yo. What? You beat him first. The Don't touch my boy.
So the guy who yelled at the end, "Don't touch my boy," he probably regretted that in about 2 seconds after that because Jason Derulo, first of all, I didn't know Jason Derulo had hands like that. I mean, he was one thing. Jason Derulo is walking with a bodyguard, a very large man, who is paid to do all of this stuff for him, and yet whatever was being said between them, and I do think that there was something said before this video starts because it sounds like you hear the guy saying, "Why'd you slap him? Why'd you slap him?" So there was some interaction before that, and then when he says Usher, well,
There's no hesitation. It's like a hair trigger. But you and I see this thing very differently. You think there's a racial element to him saying, "Hey, Usher," like an element of racial disrespect. I take it as disrespectful. You're not as popular as Usher, and so or something. Because to call Jason Derulo Usher is elevating him. It's like to call me or Jason
No, I
Clarence
think
Darrow or
it's a
Perry
troll.
Mason.
It's a troll. It's like you're a black guy who dances and sings, so I'm just going to call you Usher. It's
Yeah,
a racial
could be.
troll.
It could be. Yeah.
It's totally a racial troll.
Oh, but is it racial in the sense that he's saying everyone looks alike?
All you black guys who can sing and dance
Are the same.
Right.
Okay.
And by the way, it worked. It set him off
It
because
certainly worked.
he pushed his bodyguard out of the way to go beat the hell out of these guys.
Unless the guy actually thought this, and he's like, "Man, Usher slapped me," and then he finds out, "Oh, it was Jason Derulo."
Beat up by Usher.
Well,
I got
that's
beat up
going
by
to
Usher.
be that's going to be disappointing for him that played against.
I'm super impressed with Jason Derulo because in my mind, Jason Derulo is the pretty boy singer, rapper who does wacky TikTok videos
Right.
that are amusing, dates celebrities, is extremely good looking.
You don't think
always
he's the guy who's going to get his hands dirty?
not a hair out of place,
Right.
always manicured for the camera. And all of a sudden, he goes completely crazy on this guy and comes in with a haymaker from nowhere and blasts the guy twice in the face. I was really impressed with him.
The one thing I'll give the guy respect who called him Usher is the cops came apparently to break it up, but didn't want to press charges. So he used his mouth. He called him Usher, which you know is going to
Set
upset
him off.
someone.
Right.
He got clocked for it, and he's like, "I'm not going to press charges. I instigated this." I actually thought that was a kind
Right.
of cool Vegas move.
It actually
in some
is.
ways.
That's like he's like, hey, let's keep it moving. Let's
Keep
get
it
on with our
moving.
night.
Until
We're in
later
Vegas.
this week, he's like, "My neck is really starting to hurt."
Exactly.
We get a full press conference with Gloria Allred and a neck
there
brace.
could be a lawsuit.
Yeah.
No, there could be a
Yeah,
lawsuit.
yeah,
He just didn't want to
Jason
press
Derulo's
criminal
worth
charges.
how much?
She brings out like props. Show us where Jason hit you.
By the way, Jason did not get arrested. And interesting, usually you think when these things happen, like the celebrity gets off easy, but Aria Hotel actually had security escort him out of the hotel and gave him a warning for trespassing. So
So now Usher can't go back to the Aria.
so now Usher is screwed if he ever tries to go to Aria.
If you're Usher, are you a little offended that people think Jason Derulo is you? What do you think?
No,
No,
because
what do
you're
you
the
mean?
gold standard of
Right.
like those kind
Yeah.
of like an R&B pop singer
Yeah.
dancer. Like I'm
Yeah.
the Kleenex of that. I'm the
Right.
name brand.
Right.
Although using it as an insult, there's
Yeah,
something.
there's
It makes
something
him
to
feel
that,
a little
yeah.
bit, a little kind of way. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. We're going to move on now to, stop me if you've heard this. Tristan Thompson trying to get in good with Khloe again after she finds out about him and being with another woman. Yes. This time he's doing, I guess this is kind of like just an old hat kind of way to do this, flowers. But the flowers weren't actually for Khloe. So you know that what happened this week, Tristan Thompson acknowledged that he did have a baby with this woman in Houston, Marley, and she'd been saying this, he'd been denying it and bad-mouthing her, but paternity test came back, and he is the father again.
And parented the child while in a relationship with Khloe.
Parented. Wow,
Parented. I don't
you mean
think parented.
conceived?
Sire.
Conceived.
I
This is what happens when you do this podcast with two lawyers. I believe he sired
there were a lot
child.
of verbs I could have chosen, Charles. I don't think you wanted
He was
any
the
of
party
those.
of the first
Cleaned it up too much.
Right.
Yes, he did conceive the child with Marley while still with Khloe. So he posted a big apology to her and said, you don't deserve to be treated this way, and I'm sorry, and blah, blah, blah. Well, turns out right before he posted that, he had been outside the gymnastics studio where True goes. And we've seen a lot of photos of Khloe and Tristan leaving this gymnastics studio when they're co-parenting. So he went there expecting to see True and Khloe show up, and they didn't. So the video shows him, he's standing in the parking lot waiting, and then suddenly a guy with this giant bouquet of roses comes walking back over to his car and hands it to him and just hands it to him and walks away. So the story is that he intended to give those to True, but she didn't come to the studio. He did eventually see her. So after this, he followed the nanny. True was with the nanny. He followed the nanny back to the house, and he spent some time with his daughter. So this is
hopefully not with the nanny as well.
So
just
wow.
Oh, well, he's earned
he's earned some of this.
All right, he's earned that. But his point is, look, I'm still going to be a good father to True. I'm sorry, Khloe. Please. I mean, I don't even know what we've been told is that, and I know we've heard this before, but we've been told that Khloe says, this is it. She's done. So the best he can do is say, look, I swear I'm still going to be a good father. I'm going to be around as long as you'll allow me to be around, I guess.
I have a real question about this. At this point, given how many infractions Tristan has had in this regard, and he says, I'm going to be a good father regardless of this, can you be a good father to your daughter when you disrespect her mother this much? Because we always say those two things are separable. You can be a great father, but you can be a crappy spouse. And I think to an extent that is true. But when you've done it so much and over again to humiliate her mother, you can't.
She's too.
You can't be a good
young,
father.
She's young enough that he can recover from this.
I hope
she
so.
doesn't.
But
I don't. She does that nuance of how he's treating her mother. She doesn't.
It is lost.
She doesn't
True,
know that yet.
But it does compromise your capacity to say I'm a good father when you continually cheat on your mother and you're such a public figure and you've done it in public ways and then you come out with these giant apologies that are public. To me, that's the whole thing. We get it, Tristan. You are a philanderer, and that's who you are. I'm not even going to judge you. That's between you and Khloe. Just don't make it so public. Don't issue the public apologies anymore. They don't ring true. Just make it private. Be a good father, the best father you can be. Find happiness in your life somehow, but just stop embarrassing this poor woman publicly over and over. And
right.
over again.
Even if Khloe wants you back, he now has a responsibility to say, I'm no good for you.
Right.
I like when I go out to find women and possibly impregnate them. Like, you got to say at some point, we're not.
Hold on,
good for
I don't
each
know
other.
that he's finding the women. The women may be finding him. All right.
He's only
yes.
impregnated one other woman.
Right.
That we were.
Well, there was one before,
Oh,
but that was before Khloe.
Oh, that
so,
was okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, maybe that's his best play is just say, I'm gonna
tap out.
Yeah. No long-term relationships for me, and just keep it casual.
Casual with kids.
Yeah.
Is that a new term?
It's called friends with benefits
Is that
and
your
children. Yeah.
Is that on Facebook? Is it your dating status? Casual with kids.
Yeah.
Lots of them. Okay, let's move on to what are we going to do next? Let's do Djokovic. Novak Djokovic. This is interesting because he is going to be playing in the Australian Open.
Maybe.
And that's what the Australian Open has said, that they have granted him a medical exemption. He doesn't have to be vaccinated, and he can still play in the tournament. Now, they're not specific about what the medical exemption was, but they said that there was an independent panel. They had multiple doctors look over his application, and they've granted him this exemption, so he's going to be able to play in the Australian Open. The problem is the government of Australia is not happy about this. One of their, I don't know if it was the prime minister, but someone said this morning, as soon as he steps off the plane, we're going to need to see all the documentation, and we're going to be talking to the Australian Open, to the tournament, to find out exactly why they granted him this exemption. They don't like it because, in Australia, they're very strict with quarantining. When you get down there, it's a 2-week quarantine, and that's it. And clearly, Djokovic doesn't want to do that.
And the PM has to message this, right, to the public.
There are a couple of things, and also they have a 90% vaccination rate. Their government has enforced this vaccination policy more so probably than any other country in the world for good reason. They're an island country. Once it gets there, it's going to spread like crazy. To the extent they can keep it out, they can maintain sort of a semblance of normalcy among the people who live there. And so they've really been tough about this. And for them to grant an exemption that looks like it might be an exemption granted to the greatest tennis player in the world that wouldn't be granted to other people.
Right.
And so there's a real, cynicism, I think, when it comes to
because the tournament, it looks like the tournament is saying, look, if we don't have Djokovic here,
right,
what's our draw? We need to have him.
And he's defending the title. It's a big tournament for him, right? He won it last year.
I believe he's also seeking the record for the most majors ever, or at least he is this season. And so it's a big deal. It costs them a lot of money not to have Djokovic. TV ratings go down. All the other stuff happens. And so they want him there. And are they willing to bend the rules to get it? The PM says absolutely not. The Australian Open is saying we're not bending the rules. Same policy to everybody. Time will tell when he lands, I guess.
But that's a lot of, if you get the medical exemption, you just have to prove it.
Yeah, that's
I don't think that's asking a whole lot.
That's right.
Yeah, show me the papers, because there are medical exemptions. This isn't a religious exemption. There are real medical exemptions that are valid.
But if you're Djokovic, you're going to say, look, the tournament asked for my application. I gave it to him. I got the exemption. Now I have to go through this process again with the government, where the government clearly isn't going to be as lenient as the tournament.
Do we think Djokovic is going to have any difficulty presenting whatever proof they need, obtaining and presenting whatever proof they need to give him this exemption?
You're saying he may have a lawyer or two?
He's got a doctor. I'm saying a doctor or two.
Stepping off the plane with him?
I'm not even saying it, pejoratively. The guy's got all the doctors at his disposal he wants. He can get whatever test and whatever ailment he wants can all of a sudden appear.
I agree. He's got some sort of paperwork, and it's going to be enough for the PM to say, I saw the paperwork, right? The prime minister just needs cover. He needs to say, I saw some papers. If they're really good hoaxes, then he got duped, but that's not bad on him if Novak Djokovic has a really good, fake vax card or something.
I don't know.
Fake exemption.
I don't think that's what's going on.
I don't think he does. I'm just saying at some point he just needs the cover to say, I tried to look at the documents.
The last point I want to make on this, and maybe this is a hot take, but it doesn't even matter anymore. Omicron is so contagious, and everybody that I know who gets it is also vaccinated. At this point, does it really make it more likely that others are going to be infected, that he is not vaccinated when he arrives?
You're right. The map of the U.S. I looked at today is an entire hotspot. It's all red.
Yeah.
It's just ubibiquitous at some point.
And honestly, this is kind of dumb, but he's a tennis player. Like, couldn't you keep him fairly isolated from other people? It's not a team sport.
You could. You're
going to be more than 6 feet away from.
You're outside. All the things that we've learned about how to
handshake
prevent
at the end of the match across the net.
No, they don't. They don't shake hands.
Then don't do that.
They've already discontinued that.
They
just wave.
Yeah.
Well, they're certainly not shaking Djokovic's hand.
It's entirely possible he could do this without really being close to a lot of people.
Yeah, there's obviously an inherent risk of infection with this bananas disease at any time.
But Jason, the only thing I would say is what you're talking about. You're talking about how it affects people who are vaccinated. And then people who are not vaccinated aren't necessarily going to have that same response. And I guess that's a risk for Djokovic,
for the
not
vast
for the other
majority
players.
Of people, that's their choice. So
right. But to your, I think the vax status matters because I think the transmission is slightly different from vaccinated people than from an unvaccinated person. It's a higher rate.
Is the transmission from a vaccinated person any more than if two
I'm
people?
wading into waters that
we're getting,
I go ankle deep into.
This is TMZ science here.
Let's move on.
What are we talking about?
Let's.
We'll continue this outside.
Now, I heard if you drink a glass of water while holding your breath, you can't get it. So.
Oh, gosh. All right. Yes, let's move on to something we do know about, and that is Morgan Wallen and his comeback, which is, I guess, in full force at this point because we got Lil Durk out. Now, you know that, was it 2 weeks ago, Lil Durk and Morgan Wallen came out with a song together called Broadway Girls, and this was sort of the first time we'd seen certainly a hip-hop artist co-sign on Morgan Wallen's comeback from, less than a year ago being seen in public. This video where he used the N-word very casually. He went through he was banned from award shows. They stopped playing his music. He did the Mea Culpa tour. He did an interview and said, I've learned, I understand what the word means and the pain behind it. And now you have Lil Durk doing this song with him. It's a hit. Everyone loves the song. So we got Lil Durk out, and what I didn't realize this. I guess this happened last week that Morgan Wallen said he wants to work with Kendrick Lamar, and named a few other rappers. So we got Lil Durk out in L.A. and asked him yesterday. He was in Beverly Hills, and we asked him what he thought about that. And here's some more co-signing from Lil Durk.
Is he? He's not racist, is he?
No, he ain't no racist. That's my boy. You know, so we had a long talk. He had his public situation. We had behind closed doors, and I vouched for him, and he good. You know?
And because they canceled him for a while, should he be uncanceled now, Morgan
He
Wallen?
ain't canceled. I talked to him.
He's not canceled.
When I say you ain't canceled, you ain't canceled.
Because Morgan says he wants to work with Kendrick Lamar. Should Kendrick Lamar and these other rappers work with him?
For sure.
For sure.
There you go.
Well, the proof's in the pudding. The
Line
song
up.
was a hit, right? So it worked to some extent.
But that's the thing is Morgan Wallen was never canceled by his fans.
Right.
His album Dangerous,
The industry,
except for Christmas week, it's been in
right.
the top 10 every week for a year now. People never stopped liking him.
Right. The industry, and it's funny, people never stopped liking him. And even though the industry shut him down, stopped playing his music, didn't let him go to award shows, didn't give him awards, it didn't affect him at all. You know, financially, it didn't affect his sales. So I guess it's not really shocking. I guess it's only shocking because he did a song with a hip hop artist where you thought maybe Lil Durk's fans wouldn't be so quick to like the song or to buy the song or to stream the song.
I have a question. I want to be cynical and say he only did the song with Lil Durk to resurrect his reputation, but is he also, would he have done it before this scandal? Is he sort of a rap country
yeah,
star?
is he a
I mean,
fan?
it wasn't a rapper, but like he worked with, is it Marshmello or Black Bear, the DJ? Like Morgan Wallen's done other genres, so it's not wildly impossible he would have done this.
This might be the best thing that ever happened to Morgan Wallen, right? The fact that he got himself embroiled in the scandal because he now, whether he
Wait, hold on. All right,
Well, hold on. Let me play it out.
Before you say something like that, you're supposed to say "hot take incoming." Here we go.
It got warm in here all of a sudden.
That burns.
Let's warm our
being
hands
caught
by the
in
Jason
public
fire.
using the N-word was
Yeah.
the best thing that ever happened to Morgan Wallen.
So
This
if
I
he-
gotta hear.
Yeah. So if he does get, an audience with Kendrick Lamar, if he does record a song with Kendrick Lamar, he enters into a level of fame that I understand he's a huge country star. I got that. But now he will be a crossover, enormous star playing with one of the biggest rappers in the game. And I just think that this might be the kind of thing that launches Morgan Wallen into a stratosphere of fame and profitability.
Couldn't he have gotten
that
the
he's never-
opportunity a little bit easier?
I don't. No. My point is he
You're not
couldn't have.
sure.
My
He's
point
made
is he couldn't
Lemonade.
have. But yeah, he made Lemonade.
Kendrick wouldn't take his calls unless he said the N-word. and
How
had a
many other
controversy.
crossovers has Kendrick Lamar done with country stars?
All right, well,
Taylor Swift.
Hold on.
did
We're also
do a
getting
song
ahead of
with
ourselves.
Okay, right.
That was a pop
The biggest
song.
star in the world, right?
But
I
this is
mean,
the difference
yeah.
too. We got to look at. So this song with Lil Durk was sort of like a homecoming kind of thing for Morgan Wallen, but it was a come up for Lil Durk.
Yes,
who's
correct.
big, but he was not like an A-list rapper.
Sure.
And Morgan Wallen's been the conversation for a year now, and his album's huge. So this was a rising tide lifting both of those boats. Kendrick Lamar doesn't need that.
Right, exactly. I was going to say, I think you've gotten ahead of ourselves here saying that Kendrick Lamar doing a song, because Kendrick Lamar, by the way, I see a difference in Kendrick Lamar and Kendrick Lamar's audience and Lil Durk's.
Yes.
And
There's a
I
level
don't-
of
and I don't
sophistication
know
with
that-
Kendrick
Lil
Lamar.
and I
Durk's
don't know
audience
that
and Morgan
Kendrick-
Wallen's audience are not vastly different. They're not as wildly different as you would
correct. Right. And I just don't know that, look, who knows if Kendrick even takes the phone call and they have a conversation. I just don't think he'd be as quick to do the song with Morgan Wallen as Lil Durk was. That's not a judgment on Lil Durk. It's just about their audiences.
No, that's 100% right. I think this could hurt Kendrick, right? With his audience, there is downside for him. With Lil Durk, as you said, he was
Right.
lower on the
Yeah.
totem pole, so it was
And
it was
not
an
even
easy
with
call.
the audience with him using the N-word. Just it would look kind of opportunistic for Kendrick.
Right.
Like what like Lil Durk and Morgan Wallen makes like Broadway Girls is a song either one of them could have done. Kendrick Lamar is not going to do that song, so
Right.
it would be more forced.
All right, so we got ahead of ourselves.
Yes.
I got ahead of myself. I got ahead of myself.
I
Maybe it wasn't the
enjoyed
best thing that ever happened to Morgan
Listen,
Wallen.
I certainly enjoyed a little warmth by the fire. Though.
yeah, I hope there aren't some rising country stars out there going, oh, that's what I gotta do. Oh.
Jason's like, hear me out here, because
He's like, what if I didn't say it to a white person?
All right, that is going to do it for us. By the way, make sure you are getting the TMZ podcast where you get all your podcasts. You can get that.
Apple, Spotify, Google,
wherever you're listening right now.
Yeah, all those places. You got somewhere else you want to? Where else?
No,
where do you get your
I was
podcast?
wondering why the pause there. Could you not remember where you get
No, I don't know.
a huge
Just wanted some
podcast
participation.
listener.
That's all.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's all. All right, that's gonna do it for us. We will see you guys next time. Thanks.